Hey, so here are your May 2022 update on the best savings accounts. I'm not going to go into detail on the recent Bank of England base rate rise up to 1%. There's a whole video on that the other day, taking you through what that means for you as a saver. But I will take you through a little bit of news today. I'll take you through the top paying accounts. Plus, I'll be sharing with you why I am not putting my money into Chase Bank. Let's start off with some news here. It's some sad news in some ways. It won't affect too many of you. Hopefully, you've already nabbed this. But there are a number of offers for new savings accounts which have gone now. They've disappeared. The first one of these was from Chip. This used to offer different amounts. The most recent one was £20 for opening an account. Well, that's now gone. I would still say check out Chip and use Chip because it's a really good auto saving app. So basically helping you put away a little bit extra every single month and you'll still get 1% on the money that is saved in there, automatically saved via Chip. There is a free option. So it's definitely worth checking it out, giving that a go. Maybe every now and again, move your money to a higher paying account if there's one of those out there. But sadly, you won't get 20 quid for joining. I think that one is gone. I think they're going to move their kind of incentives into investing platforms instead of the savings stuff. Still offering the savings accounts, but not the newbies. Virgin Money has stopped offering a bonus on savings if you switch into them. So you could get 3% extra on top of the normal 2.02%, giving you 5.02% on the first grand saved in that account. That is no longer the offer. Instead, they're giving you 20,000 Virgin points. Again, I've done a video talking about the best bank switching deals the other weeks. If you want to learn more about that, then do check it out. You're still 2.02%, as we'll get to later, is still one of the best places for your money right now. Just sadly, you can't get that extra 3% boost on top of that for a year. And Raisin, which is a marketplace. I've spoken about it on these videos before. You use them to open up your savings account. They've had different deals. At the start of the year, it was 50 quid. Then it went down to 30 quid. And then last week, they pulled them completely. So you couldn't get it. And then a few people have managed to also, they've offered them, if you go via their links, £25. So I've managed to get one of those for readers and viewers, £25 for signing up. You have to be careful here, though, of like just doing it for the sake of it, because you have to have 10 grand saved for 6 months in one of these accounts. And the best easy access rates there are nowhere near the better rates you see elsewhere. The only ones where you're actually going to sort of make a little bit extra potentially are from 1 year fixes. And with things moving around so much, it might be a bit of a stretch to kind of put the money in and think that 25 quid extra you're getting on top of their rates there, although they're not too bad rates, is actually going to beat what you'd get if you waited a little bit. So I think at the moment, probably not one for everyone, but yeah, if you do want to consider it and look a bit more about that one, I've got details of that. As I've got details of everything else I talk about in these videos over on becleverwithyourcash.com/savings. That will take you through to my best buy tables and all the changes that might happen after I press publish on this video, all the new things that might come along. So there's some sad news there. Really, you're not going to get any extras. Really now, the best thing to do is go for the best possible rate out there. And if you are someone who watches these videos regularly, you'll know that the best rate right now is from Chase Bank. I talked about this in detail last month. 1.5% easy access, talking here, easy access savings. You can get more if you fix, you can get more in regular savers. But if you want to be able to get hold of your emergency funds, and generally that's why we want to have easy access savings. You want to be able to get that cash whenever you want. The best rate, 1.5% from Chase Bank. A lot higher than everywhere else. A few places are catching up, and we'll talk about those a bit later on, some other alternatives. But I mentioned before in the videos that I wasn't sure I was going to do this, and I said I'd let you know why. And what it comes down to, I've decided not to put my savings into Chase Bank. I'm using it for spending sometimes to get that 1% cash back, but I'm not using it for my savings. And this comes down to the ethics of Chase Bank's parent, JP Morgan Chase. It's one of the biggest banks in the world. And Ethical Consumer Magazine, a great magazine. And definitely, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, I definitely would sort of look at getting a subscription to that. Look at all sorts of kind of things, not just bank accounts and savings accounts, but also clothes and food and all sorts of things. They recently looked at investing platforms. Appreciate it, we're talking about savings or investment platforms. But they looked at Nutmeg as part of that. And Nutmeg is owned by JP Morgan Chase, as is Chase Bank. And they scored that 3 out of 20. Which is very low. And when they tell you a little bit more about the reasons why they scored JP Morgan Chase so low, one of the things that really stood out to me was that it's one of the largest investors in fossil, not one of actually, is the world's largest investor in fossil fuels, in terms of finding new fossil fuel and continuing to make sure fossil fuels are extracted from the planet. There are also some things there about how much money that it makes off debts, that money has been lent to lots of third world countries, making a huge amount of money off them. So they are amongst the worst of the different ethical banks. And I don't necessarily feel comfortable with putting my money, my savings, into an account that's then going to be used to farm fossil fuels, but to extract fossil fuels. So I've decided not to do this. Of course, that also this principle, this stand, isn't just about JP Morgan Chase. We talk about JP Morgan Chase because Chase Bank is offering that highest rate right now. But most of the big banks, the big high street banks that you use, they're going to be doing similar things. And if it's not about fossil fuels, it could be about arms. It could be about, who knows, anything that you might have an issue with, they might be doing it. They could be, I don't know, funding, giving money to the Trump campaign. Who knows? Whatever things you might not like. And if you look at the scores that Ethical Consumers given to some of the other leading savings accounts, which we'll talk about more in a minute, HSBC, which is also First Direct, and we'll come back to them particularly in a second, talk about their regular saver. 2 out of 20, really bad. NatWest, not that much better than them, same as with JP Morgan Chase, 3 out of 20. Santander, just a little bit better, 3.5 out of 20. So it doesn't necessarily make it easy to find accounts which are going to be paying a little bit more. And I will talk you through some ethical options when we do the rundown at the end of the video. But I wanted to kind of explain to you why I said that before and what my thinking was. And I say we've got some alternatives later on. You might not care about this. And if you don't care about it, then obviously going for that best possible rate. Then JP Morgan Chase Bank, 1.5%, still the best one out there. A few are catching up. 1.3%, 1.25% you can get in other places right now. Again, we'll come back to this in a second. Now, I said I'll talk to you about First Direct, and you might have seen my video I did a couple of weeks ago talking about regular savers, why they can be a fantastic way to save because they are great accounts for you to put money aside every single month. So check that video out if you haven't already. Explain exactly how that works. People do get confused sometimes about how the interest rate actually works. So check that one out. And when I did it, I said, there are some decent ones out there right now, but the amount you can save into them isn't a huge amount, and the rates still aren't particularly special. Okay, so that's where they are. And I said, but anytime now, I'm sure we'll get First Direct coming back, hopefully with a new rate, and they did. Just a few days later, Chase announced they were moving their regular saver up from 1% to 3.5%. Now, this is still a long way from when they were offering 5% and 6% on their regular saver, but that is a little bit higher, a tad higher than the next best one, which is a NatWest, which gives 3.3%. But the most you can put into that NatWest account every single month, this one is 150 quid. And the next one after that, 2.5% with Santander or with Nationwide, the most you can put in is 250 quid. So you're getting a higher rate than those alternatives and a bigger monthly deposit in all those alternatives. And what that means, if you put in that £300 every month, you can put in less, the minimum 25 quid every month. But let's say you put in £300 every month for 12 months. This is one that will close after a year. You will get £68 in interest. So it does kind of sort of demonstrate a bit more like, you're getting a better return. It maybe it's worth putting the effort in. A current account is required. This is a First Direct current account is required. But they are currently, and this can change at any time, but they're currently offering 150 quid to switch into First Direct. So as long as you haven't taken money from them or HSBC, I said they are the same bank effectively, then that might be a nice little, 150 quid for switching in, plus £68 after a year interest from that account. So that's what's going on with First Direct, though. As I said, it might not be, if you think about the ethical side of things, not always the best bet. So let's have a look now, shall we, at where to put your money, that kind of roundup. And there hasn't been too many changes since last month, but again, we'll take you through those ethical options, or in fact, practical alternatives to Chase Bank as well. But let's start off with the highest paying ones, easy access funds. Okay, so I'm not including regular savers here. Highest paying easy access funds here. Virgin Money's M Plus current account is still the top one. 2.02% on the £1,000 that you have saved in there. Anything over £1,000, you won't get anything on that, though it does come with a linked account paying 1%, which is not too bad. Obviously, you can beat it, but 1% isn't too bad compared to what if you have it sitting in an account paying absolutely nothing or practically nothing. You can only have one of these each now. Remember, they did get rid of that loophole where you could have loads of them, although if you already have them, then there is no kind of clawback on that. You can still have multiple ones if you open them before they change that rule, and you can open an additional one as a joint account. The next one after that, if you've got more cash sitting around, again, up to 4K here, the Claro app, which is iOS only, so only for people with an Apple iPhone, you can get 2% on the first £3,000 you have saved in there again. So that's kind of maybe it's not as easy access as the Virgin Money one. You will have to sort of ask to withdraw the cash. And so that might take a few more days, whereas the Virgin one, you've got a debit card, you can take the money out whenever you want. They are going to be the best places for your money in terms of easy access. That is going to be better than what you're going to get elsewhere. But obviously, you are limited there. At most, £4,000, maybe £5,000 if you've got that joint account with Virgin. So where do you put the rest of your money? And it is up to 250k. The highest rate is 1.5%, as I've said a number of times in this video, with Chase Bank. However, as we've already established, Not everyone will want to put their money with Chase Bank, and not everyone will be able to put their money with Chase Bank. In my recent video comparing Chase Bank with Starling and with Monzo Bank, one of the things I looked at based on the feedback you guys have given me was that struggles people have had in terms of opening that account, because it does require almost the most recent iOS and the most recent Android operating systems. Not necessarily the top bang one, but if your phone is more than a couple of years old and can't support those, you might struggle. And a number of people have struggled with that. So I've got some alternatives here. If you want to be able to open an account without having a smartphone at all, or because you haven't got a decent enough phone, then maybe look at Aldermore. They currently have a double access account. So it's not a true easy access account. It basically means you can take the money out twice in a year. If you do it more than twice, then the rate plummets to practically nothing. But if it's an emergency fund and you don't think you're going to need it, it's just there in case you need it, you can put up to £1 million, which is obviously far too much and wouldn't be protected by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme anyway. But with Aldermore, you can open that account online via your browser. Let's talk more about the ethical options now. Few choices for you here. Now, Tandem is app-based. Okay, so this might be an issue for some of you who don't want the app side of things, but you do need an app for Tandem. Up to £100,000, you can get 1.1%. Now, it's hard to say. I've put green in inverted commas there because it's hard to actually say how green it is, but it says it is a sustainable bank. It hasn't been scored by Ethical Consumer, so I can't kind of give you that real analysis. So they often look into things, but it might not be a bad alternative if you want a decent rate for some green issues or things that really, really matter to you right now. Or alternatively, if you want to go with someone which absolutely bang on, is going to be doing good things, is Ecology Building Society. They are proactively, hence their name, putting money into green initiatives. 100%, that is clear from them. Slightly lower rate there, 1.05%, and that's only for balances over £25,000. If you have less than that, you will get a lower rate. And this is a notice account, 90-day notice. So not really a true easy access. Well, not an easy access account at all, but a more sort of a strong ethical green account, I would say. The other options to tell you about here is a Sharia compliant account. They don't give interest under Islamic law, but you get an expected return. And it works in the same way. And it's still protected by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. You'll get this return. Now, the bank here called Gatehouse is offering 1.3% in an easy access account. This is actually the next best account you can get after Chase Bank in terms of your return you'll get. And this one also can be opened online. So you might actually rather do this than the Aldermore one. Indeed, now where Sharia compliant banking practices come into play here is that the money that you save with them will not be used in certain areas. So it will not be used in gambling, for example. It will not go towards any arms manufacturing or arms trading, which again, a lot of the big banks, they will be doing, your money will be going towards that kind of stuff. It will not be going towards alcohol or tobacco and also pork and non-halal meats. So it's not necessarily like, from a vegan's point of view, completely there, but there's certainly less, it wouldn't be like, intensively farmed meat would not be part of that practice. So those things might be important to you. Again, doesn't say anything about green things. Gatehouse does have some kind of greener fixed savings, but it's very clear about that is on their fixed ones, not on the easy access. And I think it's more about what they do in terms of being more carbon neutral rather than not putting money into fossil fuel extraction and things. So there are some options for you anyway that I thought you might be interested to know about. They might hopefully help you decide where you're going to put your money. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Andy Webb. Don't forget, becleveryourcash.com/savings for all the details on these and many, many more accounts. Don't forget, head over to becleverwithyourcash.com savings for more details about all these accounts and more. And there's plenty of videos here you can check out to help you get the most from your money.